Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Bob Lucido, and this is the Bearcat Training Camp. We're going to circle back today to what we opened this training with, and that is the all-important sharing cycle. What I want to talk with you today about is the finding section of the sharing cycle. Remember when we talked about that funnel that represents our business, how important it is to make sure that the activity that we have coming in to our business, into our funnel, has to be a good, strong, healthy stream of people for us to have opportunity to engage with. That's where the finding comes in. How do we find the people to do the sharing with? How do we find the people that we can engage with to share these exciting, result-driven, effective products that we have to offer in this amazing business opportunity that we have to offer? That's what we're going to talk about today, okay? But it starts with defining who are you looking for, okay? And in the broadest sense, and especially in the beginning, we're looking pretty much for anyone who is willing and interested to engage with us, because what it is that we have to offer really is applicable to just about anybody. I mean, everybody can use a little boost in health and fitness, and just about everybody at least has an interest in hearing about opportunities to bring in other income streams, either part-time, full-time, or whatever that may be. So the good news is we have some products and some opportunity that are really hotly sought after by folks out there in the community. So it really shouldn't be too hard to find people to communicate with, and I just want to sort of put that in your brain first, okay? But that set aside, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of videos ago, when we were talking about defining your key performance indicators, to make sure that we were building you a business that made sense for your goals, what you want your business to look like, what are the primary activities that you want to be engaged in, and how you want to build your business. And if you missed that, go ahead back to that video and take a look at that. But that's also going to help us define who you're looking for, right? If you're looking to build your business, for instance, through Fit Club, person to person, getting groups of people together and sharing the workouts and maybe sharing some of the supplements and shake and share combination, all that kind of stuff, then your finding is going to obviously have a focus on folks who want to get together in person. And so that's going to kind of define a little bit about who you're going to be looking for. And if you're somebody who's going to be primarily driving your business through sharing the business opportunity, then of course that also defines the audience a little bit that you're looking for. Okay, so first question is to think about that for yourself. How have you defined your business? What's the primary avenue that you're going to take in building your business? You're going to be a social media builder? Are you going to be an in-person Fit Club shake and share builder? Are you going to be sharing the business opportunity presentation? All those sort of different possibilities that we talked about earlier. And please think out of the box. Don't let me limit you on how you may decide to share this business. It's all about sharing, and we've already established that. And then once we determine what our mechanism for sharing is going to look like, then we get to where we are today, and that is, how can we boost our numbers in terms of people that we can actually share with? And that's where the finding comes in, okay? And when we talk about finding people to share with, there's a couple of key concepts that I want to share with you today. And like I said to you earlier, I'm a concept guy, so here we go again. Concept number one with finding is you have to understand that the finding portion of the sharing cycle is really about increasing engagement with ever-expanding social circles, okay? See if you can let that sink in. How can you increase your engagement with ever-expanding social circles? And that doesn't matter whether you're doing it in person or through social media. You're always trying to look to broaden your audience, to broaden your opportunity to connect with people, with new people. Always looking for, always seeking out opportunity to connect with, engage with new people, okay? Increasing your activity and engagement within ever-expanding social circles. That's what we're talking about. And we're going to break down some details and I'm going to give you some examples, but that's the concept. And I don't like to stick people in a square box or a round box or whatever it is. Think out of the box, please, on that concept, because some of the things I'm going to share with you today might make sense and they might be helpful to get you going, but it's not the end of the universe, okay? There are obviously endless opportunities for figuring out ways to increase your engagement with ever-expanding social circles, right? So let me share a few with you today. But wait a minute, actually, hold on. Before we do that, I've got a second concept for you. Two concepts to start you off with today. And this second one will be an overlay, really, on everything that we talk about today. You have to keep in mind that when you're finding, it's going to happen on two levels. There's going to be active finding and what I call passive finding. And you want to make sure that both are happening for you. Okay? And if you remember when I introduced the sharing circle back in that first video that we all shared with each other, I talked about a concept of helping to make yourself easy to be found. Remember when I first introduced the find section, I also said I like to flip that and talk about making sure that we're easy to be found. Okay? So as we cover everything today, I want you to continue to think about that. Active finding and passive finding. Okay, active finding is actually getting out there and seeking opportunity to connect with people. And online that might be actively seeking conversations and engaging in conversations with new people, trying to create opportunity for new connection and engagement. And a passive example might be, your post on your page about your upcoming challenge group that's just going to sit out there. It's kind of like an advertisement. It's kind of like a poster on the wall somewhere that may catch someone's eye while you're not necessarily there in a conversation doing something. Okay, active and passive, and you want to catch that concept and you want to ask yourself, what are the active finding mechanisms that I'm engaging in, and what are the passive finding mechanisms that I'm engaging in, and make sure that you've got a healthy set in both areas. And I want to add one more layer, because you want to have a healthy set of active and passive. You want active and passive happening in person, on the in-person level, and then you also want active and passive happening in the ethers, in social media, okay? You want both going on. Remember when I set out those categories that I suggested that we all have activity going on in, I mentioned a local presence and a social media presence. You want to have both going on. Most of us become, we find our niche in either one or the other of those sort of major categories. And then obviously within those two major categories there are breakdowns, and we kind of find out where we fit and where all of this works best for us. But for today, I want you to take home that concept of having those layers, both local and social media, both active and passive. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about what that might look like. In person, let's talk about that first. In person. How can I increase my engagement with ever-expanding social circles in person? In other words, how can I seek out opportunities to share? How do I get myself in contact with more people to simply have an opportunity to share, to simply have an opportunity to do some sorting, to see if this person or these people may be looking for something that I have to offer that I might be able to meet a need. That's really what we're out there trying to do. Okay, well, in person, that might look like getting more active in the community, becoming a more active community member. Join the Rotary Club, join the Toastmasters Club, join the sewing circle, in the reading circle, and all the groups that you can possibly become part of that have something to do with something that you like to do, by the way, are going to help you in your quest to increase your engagement in these ever-expanding social circles. Okay? You don't want to get stuck anywhere. I'm not telling you to go join a group that's going to take 5 nights a week and 3 hours a night, and now you're stuck in this small little group. Find opportunities to get out into sharing opportunities, which are going to be circles of people and opportunities to do that. And one really good way to do that, especially if you're building locally, is getting out into the community and becoming more active. And again, active and passive, right? You want to be able to be found. If Bob Lucido's showing up at all these little groups all over the community all the time, when somebody happens to be looking for an opportunity to get healthy, fit, or build wealth, they're going to have a higher likelihood of finding me if I'm easy to be found, because I'm always around and I'm always talking about what I'm doing. And I have done both parts of the active and passive. Okay? It also is going to help to build a referral cycle for you. There's some passive finding that can be going on for you. Somebody 2 or 3 layers down in relationships from you is having a conversation with somebody who just saw the 21-day fix infomercial and is all hyped up and excited about ordering it, and that person says, hey, you know what? There's this guy in my keto group, his name's Bob Lucido, and he's a coach or something like that, and I think you can get that through him, and he might even have a support group or something I think I heard him talking about that you could join. Boom. Passive finding is going on. Why? Because you put the effort in on the active side of getting active in ever-increasing social circles. Okay? Join business groups. Join, obviously anything out there related to health and fitness. If there's a health fair going on, if there's the different nutrition groups, or all kinds of circles and things that are happening out there in all of our communities, that we can choose to get out there and become active and become a part of. And again, it might just be because you want to plug in and say, hey, you guys are in the health and fitness profession here in my community. Guess what? Here I am. I'm a Team Beachbody coach. I'm an independent business owner. I represent this amazing company, Beachbody, and I can offer blah, 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 blah. And there you go. You've got the beginnings of getting the word out there, getting active, and getting those ripples working in your favor. The other one, obviously, in person, and it's kind of a passive side, is getting some advertising out there. Again, I mentioned this in one of the other videos. If you just opened a new restaurant, or if you just opened a new retail store, or if you just opened up a new health club, you'd be very vocal about getting the word out there. You got to treat this business the exact same way. Sometimes the investment that it takes to start this business is so small, or because it's so small, that there's something happens in our mind where we don't get out there and sort of blow the bugle the way that we would if we just bought into a Starbucks franchise or something like that. I'm asking you to switch that. I'm asking you to make sure that you are just as vocal and just as active in getting the word out there. Where can you get the word out? And the cool thing about most of that stuff, especially on the advertising level, is once you do the active part, then it's still out there doing its passive part for you. If you're in one of the local magazines, or you're in the newspapers, or you did a little radio bit, or again, think out of the box. How can you get the word out there? Always keeping in mind that you're trying to add value, bring value to every situation that you can. Give away as much as you can in terms of your advice, your excitement, your involvement, your support, your genuine willingness to dive in and help people get the results that they're seeking, either with our products through the health and fitness side of life, or with the business opportunity in the creating another income stream or building wealth side of things, you want to bring the value to the table. So in all of these groups that you're joining and all of these circles that you're getting yourself into and all of this activity that you're doing, getting yourself plugged into the community, getting the word out there, make sure that it's not just some sort of hollow spamming kind of thing, right? Because you can spam people in person the same way you can online. Bring value. How can you bring value to the group that you're interacting with, to the people that you're interacting with, through the things that we share as coaches? Okay, so a little bit of thinking there, right? But those are some of the ideas, those are some of the avenues on the in-person side of things. And like I said, that's not exhaustive. Another sort of big avenue or mechanism that you can use on the in-person in the day-to-day life is make sure that you're always on. I'm always on for business, and you should be too. That's the cool thing about this business is, and I often get asked this question, now that you're a full-time Beachbody coach, how many hours a day do you work? Or how many hours a week do you work? And it's a very interesting question, and I have a hard time answering it, because I can tell you I'm working all the time, or I can tell you I'm never working. And both are true, because I'm just living life, going through my day-to-day life, doing what I want to do, connecting in the social circles that I want to connect with, doing the activities that I want to do, and being a Team Beachbody coach at all times, on. In other words, ready, willing, and able to share, ready, willing, and able to add value through what it is I have to bring to the table as a Beachbody coach at all times, any place, anywhere. I'm always looking, I'm always listening. If I'm at the grocery store, it's not like, okay, I'm off. If I hear somebody in the line talking about the fact that they're starting a new diet, or they're trying to get in shape, or the doctor just told them that they are pre-diabetic and they need to do so, all kinds of stuff happens around us all the time. And if you can just be on and ready to share, you'll find a whole lot of new finding opportunities around you at all times. And that's one of them. It kind of sounds like a silly one, but again, it's one that people shy away from. People walk around in the day-to-day life missing opportunities to share, simply because they're not on. They gave themselves permission to be off at that moment. For some reason, they're not looking for somebody to help anymore. And when you do that, you're going to stutter step yourself and take yourself out of that momentum that we've talked about before, that's so important and so crucial. Okay, so be on at all times, always ready to share. Even to this day, I carry around with me something I call an exposure pack. And it's just a little backpack. And I've been carrying this for, I think, 6 years. Basically, every time I leave the house, it's always with me. It's in my car. It's never far from me. And it has a couple of samples of all the different flavors of Shakeology. It has a few of the Shakeology trifold brochures. It has a few of the little Shakeology booklets. It has a couple of the Team Beachbody product catalogs. My sharing tools. I'm full of a little backpack full of sharing tools, so that at any time and in any place, if I happen to be in a situation where I can engage and share, I'm ready to do so. I have a little notebook with me at all times so I can take down follow-up information. I'm ready to go, and you should be too. Okay, so always on. The other sort of side of that, of course, is wear and share. What the heck is wear and share? What does that mean? Simply means that, make sure that when you get out into the community and you are moving around seeking opportunity to share, another really easy way to make yourself easily found is wearing logo wear. I have a jacket that has P90X across it, and 90% of the time I'm wearing a t-shirt that has some logo from one of our products, or I've got my P90X hat on. When I'm out into the community, it's pretty darn easy to know that I'm somehow, some way affiliated with this company and these products. And you want to do the same thing. And that doesn't mean that every single day you got to wear a P90X t-shirt. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is understand that there is some power to bringing that into your daily life and thinking about how you can do that. And that can be logos on your vehicle, which I do, by the way. It can be logos on clothing or hats or jackets or whatever it may be. Those are all, great ways. I have one of the, whatever it's called, duffel bags, the P90X certified logo on it, and whenever I travel through airports and wherever I may be going, that's my travel bag. And again, sounds kind of silly, but I've gotten into a lot of conversations with people who are seeking what it is that I have to offer simply because I had that little bleeper on my side. I had that duffel bag with the little P90X logo, and it caught somebody's attention. Okay? So, another way to get out there, another way to get the feelers out there, finding those who are looking for what it is that we have to offer. Okay? So, again, I'm not trying to be exhaustive with the list. Those are some ideas of some in-person kinds of things. Of course, you're advertising for your fit clubs, shake and shares, getting out and just being in front of people. We had a couple of women on the team who joined a women's business owners group in their town. Turned out this group had kind of like a little fair kind of thing once a month or something, and at a bank one month, and at an insurance company building another month, and someplace else another month. And since they became part of that group, they were able to set up their little Shakeology shake and share table once a month at a different one of these places. And maybe some places that you wouldn't typically think of going and asking if you could set up there. But again, we don't really care where we're going to be, just simply can I get in as many places as possible, seeking those who are looking for what it is that we have to offer and trying to make that connection, or at least having the opportunity to share and do some exploration as to whether or not there can be a connection. All right? Next layer, social media. What does this look like on social media? Again, it's about always building your audience. I'm not here today to give you a specific outline on here's Facebook techniques, and here's Instagram techniques, and here's YouTube techniques. I want to give you a concept. Can you make sure that all of your social media finding is about building audience, is about connecting with new people, all right? All too often what I see happen is people dive into social media and their finding really becomes, sorry to say, but a spamming campaign. And it's, hey, I'm a coach, and drink Shakeology, and get the hammer and chisel challenge pack, and boom, 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 boom. But it's not about adding value. It's not about connecting. And quite honestly, folks, you're not going to get very far that way. That's not what using social media to help build this business is all about. Social media is just simply a tool to help you increase your engagement with ever-increasing social circles. It just happens to be an avenue that allows us to connect with a whole lot of people pretty quickly. But we have to bring those same concepts forward. We want to make sure that we're looking to add value, make sure that we're looking to connect, we're looking to build relationships, we're looking to build audience to build your friends list, to build your followers list, to build your likes list, to build, whatever the particular social media avenue that you're working within, whatever that parameter is, that means you have more people looking at you and looking at what you're doing. That's how you want to spend your time. And you want to be connecting with like-minded people that you have an opportunity to connect with. And again, the social media one is, so easy, I hope anyways, to understand how the passive side works. You get those posts up where you are talking about you and your own personal journey with a fitness program or with Shakeology or with building the business yourself. And sort of those posts are out there, and that has a life of its own, and it has a likelihood. It's just sort of the hooks in the water kind of thing, right? It has a likelihood of bumping up against some people who are looking. You can run ad campaigns, you can promote posts or videos or all those kinds of different avenues that really aren't anything different than getting posters up on the walls all over town, but in social media you happen to be able to get the posters up in front of a whole lot of more people. But here's the kicker. None of those things mean anything and aren't going to get you anywhere if you're not focused on making sure that new and more eyes are seeing those things all the time. Okay? Make sure that most of your time on social media, especially your business time, I don't care what you're doing with your personal time, but if you think you're on social media because you're building your business, then 90% of the time in there needs to be related somehow to efforts to connect you with new people, to get new audience, new friends, new opportunities to engage. So what does that look like? Again, not an exhaustive list, but here's a couple of ideas. One of the great tools for helping you to connect with people who you're already going to have some kind of built-in connection with is getting into like pages. Getting into the groups that are talking about things that you're into. And I'm not talking about getting into, the P90X page or the Hammer and Chisel page. That's not where you want to be. I mean, go over there if you want to be there to talk about what you're doing with your fitness program. But if you're talking about trying to build your business, you want to try to get to places in groups where maybe there aren't any Beachbody coaches, where no one's even talking about health and fitness, but creates opportunity for you to get real connection. Okay? So, what does that look like? If you're into sewing, then get on a sewing page and talk about sewing and connect with people who are also talking about sewing with the simple goal of making as many connections, real friends as you can. And then at the same time, you're going to have your passive finding going on, which means that your Facebook page is going to be twofold. It's going to be interesting and real and personal, really showing who you are, and you got to make sure that you're doing that so you can be connected with. And secondly, it's going to be real apparent that you're a Beachbody coach and what are the things that people can get from you. So that you don't ever have to go into a group or into a conversation saying, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach, would you like to get a challenge pack from me? If you're doing that, you're probably chasing people away. The better thing to be doing is saying, hey, I'm in my sewing group, and hey, here's a project that I'm working on. I saw that picture of what you put up that you're working on. That's freaking amazing. What's that stitch you used for that? Conversation going. Never mention health and fitness. Never mention Team Beachbody or any of that stuff. That person becomes a friend. You get a connection, and they will know from looking at your page, which they will do once they become their friend and there's a connection. They'll figure out that you're a Beachbody coach. Because somewhere in there, you'll have on your page that you're starting a new challenge group, that you're drinking Shakeology yourself, that you're doing XYZ program, or whatever it is that you have happening on your page. The key here, and I hope you're getting this, in the finding process, is simply make the connection, find new people to have opportunities to connect with, and leave it there for now. We're going to get into inviting and sharing and all that fun stuff later, but in the find portion, which really does have to be a big part of the time that you're spending, you're simply looking to connect with people, as many as possible, and hopefully people that you have something in common with, so you have some other connection. I can't tell you how many times I've connected with people, either as a customer or even a business partner coach, who's been someone who I met on social media months ago, who I've never, ever even mentioned the word Shakeology or Beachbody or P90X or anything to, who come back to me and say, hey Bob, I met you on the New England Patriots fan page several months ago, and I've been watching your page. I've been thinking about doing that T25 thing. Can we talk about it? Boom. Passive finding. And it's from months ago. Okay? So always also remember, especially on social media, you may have some time that goes by before that connection opportunity comes up. And sometimes I see people get frustrated too soon because they think that they're going to meet somebody today on social media, make a connection, be able to get them into a challenge group and get the person going down the road. You know, you may run into some of that, and if you do, then congratulations. But more likely than not, what the finding process looks like, especially in the social media realm, is seeking opportunity to connect, connecting, usually because of something other than Beachbody, and then making sure that you have made yourself easy to be found. If you go to my Facebook page, you will know within, one or two or three posts down that I'm a Beachbody coach, that I have a coach page that you can go over to and learn more about what it is about being a Beachbody coach and what I do as a Beachbody coach. And then you will also learn a little bit about my family and what I do on a daily basis and who I am as a person. Your Facebook page should do all of that too, so that when you are making these new connections, you have that working for you. You don't ever have to go into any fan page or group page or like page or whatever the avenue is that you're reaching into to make further connection with your blowhorn. You don't enter the group. No, I'm a Beachbody coach, buy a challenge bag from me. That's not what we're here to do. And that is counterproductive, in fact, to helping you find those who are looking. Let them sort themselves out. Make your goal in your social media efforts very simple. Add audience. Add audience, and then make sure that in your posts and your interactions, it's very clear who you are and what you're doing, and be very focused on adding value as much as you possibly can, both through your general page and through your conversations and interactions with folks, because that's how it's going to go, right? There is a sort of progression there as well. What that might look like is, I fulfilled one of my sort of childhood dreams this past year, and I bought myself a brand new Corvette. And so, like an all excited little kid, I joined a whole bunch of Corvette fan pages on Facebook, and got to interact with a whole bunch of cool people who were also Corvette lovers and fans, and I learned all kinds of history and all kinds of cool stuff. Never talked about Beachbody at all. I increased my engagement with a brand new social circle in an enormous way, simply by focusing on creating connection, real connection, with brand new people who before that I didn't know and didn't know me. All right. Now, of course, I'm always looking for the opportunities to share, but I don't dive in guns blaring, sharing and shoving something down anybody's throat. That's not what this is about. We'll get into this when we get into the next step when we talk about inviting a little bit. I'm also not a fan of, send an invitation to your challenge group to every single one of your 4,000 friends on Facebook. That might work for some people, and don't let me stop anybody from doing anything. But my advice, in my humble opinion, is that it's going to go much better for you when you're understanding that finding is really more about connecting, targeting groups that you can reach into, seeking the opportunity for connection. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. And of course, those of you who are social media rock stars, please share more on the page. If there's some ideas and things that I didn't put out there. And of course, if you're brand new to Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is, understand that especially in the very beginning, there's all kinds of finding tools right there within each of those mechanisms. You can go into Facebook and search all the people who ever went to the high school that you went to, and all the people who ever went to the college that you went to, and all of those kinds of beginning tools that are right there to help you to build your sort of rebuild. It's not really building new social circles, but rebuild your ability to connect with people who already have something in common with you. And those are all great places to start as well. The idea, again, is trying to make sure that the activities that you're engaging in the finding section of your time, are focused on an ability to connect with new people and to create new opportunities for engagement. Okay, so I'll leave you again with the same thought that I opened this up with, and that is the concept behind finding, which is your ability to engage with more and more people and more opportunity to actually get to sharing. Okay, so get out there, increase your engagement with ever-expanding social circles, and just be who you are as a Beachbody coach, and let some of the finding and being found momentum get started for you in your business. Have a great day.